remember. Please rise for the pledge. Cecily, roll call, please. Counselor Bronson,
Here.
Counselor Hagy,
Here.
Counselor Richards,
Here.
Counselor Sanchez, here. President Pro Tem Thorstad,
Here.
Mayor Coleman, present. Counselor Augsburger, here. Let the record show that we have 7 present and 0 absent. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda. There are 2 sets of minutes in the consent agenda. Anyone can pull anything out of the consent agenda at any time to discuss, or you can make a motion to approve.
So moved. I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Cecily, please call for a vote. Counselor Hagy,
Yes.
Counselor Richards.
Yep.
Counselor Sanchez. Yes. President Pro Tem Thorstad,
Yes.
Mayor Coleman. Yes. Counselor Augsburger. Yes. Counselor Bronson.
Yes.
Let the record show that we have 7 ayes and no nays. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is recognition of visitors and hearing of petitions. And the first item underneath there is a police officer swearing in ceremony. It's one of the first, or one of my favorite things to do is to honor our PD. So I'm going to let Chief Ogden, City Manager Ogden, take it away.
Good evening, Council. It's great to be here tonight, and it is also one of my honors to be able to swear in our newest officer, Tyler Mendenhall. Tyler, why don't you come on up? And also, it is really cool because Tyler's been with us now for a couple of weeks, but this has been the first council meeting that we've been able to get him to. And here, is it next week you go to the academy?
Yep.
So he starts the academy on Monday, which is really nice. We can get him in there, and then he should finish probably sometime in September. So long process. And I would imagine he'll be solo patrol by probably the end of the year or shortly thereafter. So you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you stand right there so council can see you and audience and your family can see you. And you're going to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Tyler Mendenhall, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
The Constitution of the United States of America.
the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
The Constitution and the laws of the state of Oregon.
the laws and ordinances of the city of Sweet Home,
The laws and ordinances of the city of Sweet Home.
and the rules and regulations
And the
of the city of the Sweet Home Police Department,
rules and regulations of Sweet
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully discharge
faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
to which I have been appointed
to which I have been appointed
in and for the city of Sweet Home,
in and for the city of Sweet Home,
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my ability.
and to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Do you want to come up and pin his badge on him? Family member, come up and pin his badge on him. It's always a special moment to do that. Yeah. Yeah, just force it in there. That's good enough. All right, let me get you your certificate. There you go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard, Officer Mendenhall. Thank you. And thank you to the PD for being here to support him. And we will move on to the next item on the agenda. It's the Mental Health Awareness Month proclamation. Mental Health Awareness Month 2025 proclamation. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives, and whereas promotion and prevention are effective ways to reduce the burden of mental health conditions, and whereas there's a strong body of research that support user-friendly tools that all Americans can access to better handle challenges and protect their health and well-being, and whereas mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation, and whereas with effective treatment, those individuals with mental health conditions can recover and lead full, productive lives. And whereas each business, school, government agency, faith-based organization, healthcare provider, veterans group, and citizen has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. And whereas the Lynn County Mental Health Advisory Board and the City of Sweet Home Community Health Committee are emphasizing that there is no health without mental health by being involved in with public service announcements, health fairs, public speakers, and various trainings regarding mental health issues. Now, therefore, I, Susan Coleman, do hereby proclaim May 2025 as Mental Health Awareness Month in Sweet Home. As the mayor, I also call upon the citizens, governmental agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in Sweet Home to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps of our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health conditions. Proclaimed this 13th day of May 2025. We are still in the recognition of visitors and hearing of petitions portion of our meeting, and we have one person who has signed up to present public comment. Trevor Lee, please come forward to this microphone and say your name and your address for the record.
Hi, my name is Trevor Lee, and my address is 400 Market Street, Lebanon, Oregon. And I am here today to address the Sweet Home Police Department's tow rotation. Currently, the tow rotation has, I believe, 4 different companies on there. One of them, which is nowhere near what is listed in the document of requirements, and so that's what I'm bringing up. One of the requirements is the tow company facility must be located within 15 miles of city limits of Sweet Home and be able to respond within 30 minutes. I've brought this to the attention of the police chief that the company Rogers Towing is located 30 miles between Albany and Corvallis on Highway 34. So as part of the Oregon Tow Truck Association and the Oregon Tow Board, we've been noticing quite a bit of shifting with tow companies and their operations. Recently, we've had to deal with Rogers multiple times with the way that they're charging people and then them trying to go in and take police calls and try to steal work. That's called predatory towing. So we're reaching out trying to crack down on it. My biggest thing here is that this is a small community where you already have 3 tow companies within this to handle all the business. I think maybe we tow 1, maybe 2 a month, right? So what Rogers has been doing is they've been going into all these different towns and offering to remove of the RVs. That's every community's biggest problem. We already work with Sweet Home in moving RVs for the price of $4,000. I don't know what Rogers is towing them for. $4,000 for this is pretty legitimate, as they are the biggest pain to deal with all the abatement process and everything else and disposal of. So I'm just reaching out to the community. If you were to have a family member or somebody be involved in an accident and your car is towed from the city 30 miles almost to Corvallis that you now have to go and retrieve, pay the prices, and I don't know if it's legit, but most tow companies charge en route miles and towed miles. I don't know what their contract states, but you're now paying 30 miles in, 30 miles back. So what they do is they come in, they say, well, I have an employee that lives in Sweet Home. Well, that's great. You have an employee that lives in Sweet Home. That doesn't mean that that car is staying in Sweet Home. You may get a response time sooner, but I know my other company that I work a lot with in Lebanon, him and I went to address the Lebanon City Council to get these changes in place, which is, I mean, the city council was very receptive because they didn't know what was going on. So that's what I'm making aware. That when they come in and tow out, now you have to find a way to get out 30 miles to go retrieve your vehicle or your belongings or anything like that. And you're probably going to pay a lot higher fee. So I was just coming in to address it, that I don't think it's right. And that's all I have.
Thank you for coming forward and bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next item on our agenda is business information only, First Avenue traffic control.
Madam Mayor, Council, as you are aware and probably remember, even if you weren't on council, you probably have some recollection that we brought to council later last year, the First Avenue calming options. So I'm going to give a little bit of historical context here regarding First Avenue. So as you know, First Avenue is a connector between two major highways. So Main Street or Highway 20 and Highway 228, also known as West Holly Road. And it is really unintentionally functioning as a bypass for motorists attempting to maybe avoid the traffic signal or to take a shortcut from one highway to the other. It is designated as a local residential street, and it is narrow. If you've ever been down there, I'm sure you have 30 to 32 foot curb to curb width. And it's carried traffic volumes that are more typical of an arterial route. Over the years, residents along First Avenue have voiced consistent concerns related to excessive speed, high traffic volume, commercial motor vehicles, and we've taken those complaints at the PD. We've heard those on the Traffic Safety Committee, and then also we've had people come into council expressing those concerns as well. On March 26th of 2024, some of those concerns were brought to our attention, and some community members provided some testimony to the Public Traffic Safety Committee at that time. There was also some crash data that we had presented between the years of January 2019 and June 2024. Just kind of a recap, there were multiple vehicle collisions on First Avenue and around that area, many resulting in injury and substantial property damage. These incidents occurred at both intersections and even mid-block locations. And if I remember correctly, there was even one vehicle that went and crashed into somebody's driveway. So in response to that, council directed staff to, later last year, we brought to council some options of what we could do on First Avenue. And as a result of that, council had directed staff to evaluate some traffic calming devices. And so council ended up voting on the 27th of August to pursue temporary speed bumps, and tasked us with securing an engineering review. So we did do that. It took a little bit of time, but we did do that. We ended up going with the Dyer Partnership. They assessed First Avenue. They actually went out there on February 4th of this year, got eyes on it, and did their study. That ended up costing us about $8,112.90. And in your packets, you probably had a chance to look at this, but I will recap some of the stuff that are some of the options that they had. As a result of their study, we basically have three main options. Option number one is speed humps, and that was the one that they recommended. So basically, that would be full width parabolic humps that are 3 to 4 inches tall and 14 feet long. The spacing of those there would be 4 total humps that were spaced 250 feet apart. The effectiveness with those that they have determined would be about a 20% reduction in volume and speeds reduced to about 15 to 20 miles per hour. So there are two different kinds. There's the rubber kind with materials only. The cost of the rubber kind would be $43,800. And then there was a much more affordable option, which is asphalt. That was the option that they ended up recommending for First Avenue, and it would be $8,400 in materials only. That does not include labor costs. So that is the first option and their recommended option. Option two is offset speed humps. So basically, these offset speed humps are designed to affect only one lane of travel at a time, meaning that each direction of travel has its own hump, and then they are staggered with a separation of 50 feet or more. The idea or intent behind that is to allow emergency vehicles to weave around the humps by shifting lanes, avoiding, delays during response delays, basically. Now, the concern with those is drivers weaving around those to try to avoid the humps. And I believe that like in 2006 or 2003, Beaverton tried this, and that was the biggest complaint, that people were trying to avoid those. They have two kinds as well. The rubber ones are $44,880. The asphalt one for those is $9,440. That's materials only. And then the third option are speed cushions. These speed cushions are a traffic calming device similar to speed humps, but designed with gaps between the sections. And again, these gaps allow emergency vehicles like fire engines or ambulances to pass through without slowing down, since their wider wheelbases can straddle the cushions. So passenger vehicles with narrower wheelbases are still required to slow down as they travel through those raised portions. There's some pros and cons to that. The pros are obviously for the larger emergency vehicles. And the cons, really, I mean, if you have commercial trucks that are still cutting through there, they're oftentimes going to have the same wheelbase size, and it's not going to impact them or affect them at all. And it may not reduce traffic volume as effectively as the speed humps. The cost for those, the rubber ones for those are $26,800, and the asphalt are $7,960. So some implementation considerations for, let's just say, option one, the one that they recommended, $8,400. Again, that option right there doesn't include some final engineering costs that still have to go into it. It doesn't include the labor or any equipment necessary for installation. As I was taking a look at this, I reached out to our Public Works Director, Greg Springman, and just kind of picked his brain and said, hey, is this something that your staff is skilled and capable of doing? And Greg said that they're just not. And so we would be looking at contracting this out. Greg did say if they did it, it would be the first time that they ever did it. And you have to get it right the first time, and it would be potentially costly to repair or rework the whole thing. We don't know at this time what the outsourced installation could cost. I'm just kind of ballparking it. It could be, $15,000, $20,000 to outsource that work. So that's basically what you have in your packets in a nutshell. And I'm going to open it up for discussion with council.
Before council discusses, we do have somebody who signed up to speak to this agenda item. So Frank Gallagher, if you'd like to come and speak, make sure you state your name and address for the record.
Yes, I'm Frank Gallagher, and I live on First Avenue. I also chair the Traffic Safety Committee. And so I've read through this many times. Mostly I can reiterate what Chief Bogdan has said. The only problem I see is their recommendation is for a temporary 6-month trial. My thought is, if you're going to spend the money, because we have all the data, the number of vehicles, the speeds, how effective these things are. And so if we're going to do it, why not do it right the first time? It is more involved, but the material is a one-time thing. The good side of the is that they are low maintenance. You're looking probably repainting, the striping, et cetera, every several years. And that's probably the lowest cost we're going to have, short of putting up barricades and a closed street sign. Is there any questions?
Of course, yes.
Frank, just so the new counselors know, you did a survey of all the residents on First Avenue.
I did, yes.
What was the outcome of that?
I believe there was 28 residents that I surveyed, and it was 100% for street closure.
That's all I have.
Okay. Anybody else?
Counselor Bronson, did you have a question?
Yeah, my question is going to be, since you live there, it's your neighborhood, you've done the research, what is your recommendation? Well, you've answered that for me. So,
If I were to do it and get the most value for the money, I would do the asphalt speed humps, but I would do on a permanent basis. I would not do a temporary trial, because my understanding is if they just lay it over the asphalt now, the edges break off, and then you end up redoing it. Dollars and cents wise, it makes sense to me if I were coming out of my pocket to have it done right the first time.
so you're recommending speed hump?
Yes,
Permanent.
asphalt speed humps, yes, permanently.
Thank you.
In case you want to know, I've lived on that street for 29 years, so I've seen a lot of traffic. I think, and if you look at the way the spacing is, it's not exactly the same. Every one is varied, which also makes a big difference in the speeds that people are going to be able to obtain in between humps.
So how long have you been working on trying to get something done for this street?
I believe 15 years or so. Yeah, I think that was the first time I was on traffic safety, and that's been a while back.
And this recommendation comes with a potential 20% reduction in volume of
Yes.
traffic.
Yes,
So that puts it at what, 1,100 to 1,500 or 1,600?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. The total volume of vehicles on that street is upwards of 2,000 a day on any given day. And that's by an actual counter. It's
Mhm.
not somebody going out there, click, click, click. We have taken samples of speeds at various times of the day, so we know that probably 85% of these people are within a reasonable amount of speed. It's that 15% that's causing all the problems. And the commercial vehicles, which do not belong on this street. I think what's going to help here is because during the day, on a normal day, we have the farmers with their tractors and trailers and so on, and the contractors coming through with their big trailers and their construction equipment and so forth. If you have to slow down, and anybody drives a truck or a large vehicle knows if you have to slow down for those and you go another 250 feet and you got to slow down again, makes for a long day if you got to do a lot of that. But anyway, my recommendation from what I see here would be to go with the asphalt. I think you're going to get the best value for the dollar.
any other questions for Frank from the council? Thank you, Frank.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for
Yeah.
your time.
And council, this is still a topic of discussion. So if you want to continue to discuss, or if you have any questions of staff, feel free to ask.
Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes.
So I just want to say, this makes my heart so happy. I love traffic engineering. I love plans. I love speed humps when we need people to slow down. I'm a little bit in disagreement possibly with the cost of 20,000 because it says there's only 5 tons necessary per hump. So that's 1.5 trucks. And so I think we could probably get it a little bit less than that, but I'm 100% for the asphalt speed humps too. Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Yes. Mhm.
I would agree too. If we're going to do it, let's do it permanently. Looking back, just doing some research real quick, November 15th, 2014, the minutes from that Sweet Home Council meeting, it was actually, there was a motion and the motion was approved to add speed tables at that time. So yeah, it's been a long time coming and I think we should get it done.
Get it done. Any other comments or questions from council?
I just want to say I completely agree with Aaron or Counselor Hagee down there. I think that's a good idea.
Well, we've heard from the neighborhood. They've definitely done the research. This seems like a no-brainer to me. Let's just get it done.
Well, staff, it sounds like we've got a consensus of what to move forward with. So you guys can bring that to the next council meeting with a vote.
We will definitely do that.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next item on the agenda is request for council action resolution number 10 for 2025 Oregon Jamboree.
I will be presenting, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Good evening, councilors. I'm here to give a quick overview of the city's involvement with the upcoming 2025 Oregon Jamboree. With an expected crowd of around 12,000 people each day, this continues to be one of the biggest and most exciting events of Sweet Home. The Jamboree team has submitted their usual set of requests, which include things like street closures, permits for sound systems and alcohol sales, and use of public parks for stages, camping, and vendor space. As in the past year, city staff, especially police and public works, will be stepping up to help ensure everything runs safely and smoothly. There are a couple of small updates this year. First, the city is shifting toward a more sustainable model by starting to recover some of the rising costs related to utilities and infrastructure. Nothing major, just making sure we're protecting our core services long term. And second, the RCA notes that 2025 will be a final year for camping as permitted at City Hall due to the new lease agreement for the previously vacated east side of the building. The incoming tenants will be using a large portion of the parking lot and office space. Earlier today, however, Jamboree staff confirmed via email that they are already planning ahead. All tent and RV camping originally slated for City Hall will be relocated this year in 2025. So tent camping will move to Camp 14 and RV camping will shift to Camp 15. All in all, the Jamboree remains a valuable event for the community, bringing in visitors, revenue, and a great summer weekend of music and fun. Staff recommend approving the full application and adopting resolution number 10 for 2025.
Thank you so much. Does Mr. Shamek want to come and speak to the event?
I didn't know you were behind me.
Yeah, come on up. Give your name and address for the record. You know the drill. Maybe you can share the update of the Thursday night event with the council. That might be good.
Yeah. So Robert Shamek, 1040 First Avenue. Thank you very much. There's a few of us here on First Avenue. Yeah, so Angela did a great job of figuring out, where all the expenses are, which is good. And we never want to ruffle any feathers. We oftentimes do. It's usually unintentional, and a lot of times we don't find out until the next year. So we came out and met the chief, and he was like, "Well, we had some issues last year," and it's like, "Well, it's always nice to be proactive and know about things." But so we just decided, instead of continuing, I know there was some staff members that weren't exactly thrilled last year out here, and so we just decided to move everybody that was out here to different camps. It's a lot of work, but to keep our relationship where it should be, we just felt that it was necessary. On to some funner news. We are going to be doing our Thursday night kickoff party, if things get approved. Instead of out on a really hot asphalt street, we're going to open up the entire Sankey Park. So if you've ever been over to Sankey Park during Jamboree, every single vendor that's over there during Jamboree will be open Thursday night for the community. So we've got like 20 some artisan vendors. We've got, oh gosh, 5 or 6, food trucks over there. Lots of live music. So it's going to be a really fun time, and hopefully it'll be a little cooler in Sankey Park. And just taking advantage of Sankey Park more, because it's just, the city's done a phenomenal job with Sankey Park. So kudos.
Any questions of counselors?
I think this is the 5th one of these I voted on. I'm going to support it just like always because that's Jamboree's fun.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. All right, so we can entertain a motion regarding this. Thank you, Mr. Shamek, for being here.
So moved as recommended.
I'll
Second.
second that.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Cecily, please call for a vote.
Counselor Richards? Yes. Counselor Sanchez?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Thorstad?
Yes.
Mayor Coleman?
Yes.
Counselor Augsburger?
Yes.
Counselor Bronson?
Yes.
Counselor Hagee?
Yes.
Let the record show that we have 7 yeses and no nays to approve the Jamboree's request. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is ordinance bills, second reading of ordinance bills, request for council action, ordinance number 2 for 2025.
Madam Mayor, Council, and I will just read this ordinance by title only. Ordinance Bill number 2 for 2025, ordinance number blank, Sweet Home Ordinance, amending Sweet Home Municipal Code SHMC Title 9 by adding a new chapter 9.50 titled Camping Regulations.
Great. Any questions or comments from council? I will entertain a motion to move this ordinance to the third reading at our next council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to move this to the next council meeting by title only to be read there. Any discussion? Hearing none. Cecily, please call for a vote.
Counselor Sanchez?
No.
President Pro Tem Thorstad?
Yes.
Mayor Coleman?
Yes.
Counselor Augsburger?
Yes.
Counselor Bronson?
Yes.
Counselor Hagee?
Yes.
Counselor Richards? No.
Let the record show that we have 5 yeses and 2 nos for ordinance number 2. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is the third reading of ordinance bills. A request for council action, ordinance bill number 3 for 2025.
Madam Mayor and Council, I'll be reading ordinance bill number 3 for 2025 by title only. Ordinance bill number 3 for 2025, ordinance number 1331, Sweet Home Ordinance adopting the 2025 Transportation System Plan as an amendment to and sub-element of the City of Sweet Home Comprehensive Plan and replacing all prior transportation system plans.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? I will entertain a motion to adopt this ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Cecily, please call for a vote.
President Pro Tem Thorstad?
Yes.
Mayor Coleman?
Yes.
Counselor Augsburger?
Yes.
Counselor Bronson?
Yes.
Counselor Hagee?
Yes.
Counselor Richards? Yep. Counselor Sanchez?
Yes.
Let the record show that we have 7 ayes and no nays to approve ordinance number 3 for 2025. Moving on, request for council action, ordinance number 4 for 2025.
Madam Mayor and Council, again, this will be reading an ordinance by title only. This is ordinance bill number 4 for 2025, ordinance number 1332. Sweet Home Ordinance adopting the 2025 North Sweet Home Area Plan as an amendment to and sub-element of the City of Sweet Home Transportation System Plan and Comprehensive Plan.
Any comments or questions from council? I will entertain a motion to adopt this ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance bill number 4 for 2025. Any discussion? Hearing none. Cecily, please call for a vote.
Mayor Coleman?
Yes.
Counselor Augsburger?
Yes.
Counselor Bronson?
Yes.
Counselor Hagee?
Yes.
Counselor Richards? Yep. Counselor Sanchez?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Thorstad?
Yes.
Let the record show that we have 7 yeses and no nays to approve ordinance bill number 4 for 2025. Moving on, reports of committees. Do we have any reports from the committees listed? We do have some minutes in there. Thank you for those counselors who have provided those. Any questions or discussions regarding those committees?
For the Library Advisory Board, I just want to thank our library director, although she's not here this evening, but she's really increasing the communication with the citizens. And so she has her newsletter that she put out, and at our Library Advisory Board, she sought input from the board and also ways to reach the wider community. And so I just really appreciate that increased communication about all the great things happening at the library.
Great, thank you. Anybody else
Madam
regarding committees?
Mayor,
Yeah.
as you might have seen, the beautification committee and the parks, a lot of the parks committee were out this morning planting in the median. So yeah, just out there making our city look beautiful.
Any other counselors who have reports they'd like to share? Moving on to department reports. Do any department heads, would they like to highlight anything?
I would like to speak a little bit. I'm sure you guys have some questions for me, but let me, I put several maps in front of you that shows some of our fire hydrants that were attached to the lines that had color in them over the last week and a half. And to kind of give you an update on this, we learned a lot over the last couple of weeks. First of all, we started the project for the SCADA changeover about 3.5 weeks ago, the week of April 7th through 11th. And so during that time, it went a day longer. Our reservoirs got low. They never ran out of water, but they probably got down to a third of what they normally are. So what we needed to do was play catch up. And so we have the ability with our plant to turn extra pumps on, and we've been doing so to try to get those reservoirs back full. What that caused was, I think, some short circuiting and turbulence through our older areas of pipes. And so we had two conditions. We have old pipes up in the avenues and a few out by the lake, but most of them reside, you can see on that map where where we had a lot of the colored water. So basically, when we ran two pumps, the velocities that were going through the pipes were scouring our and I think some of you have seen some of our old pipes up in the avenues, and they're extremely old. There's a lot of rust in them. So basically, we scoured those and pushed them off, and the only way to correct that at that point is to start flushing. And so this map indicates what the staff has done over the last week and a half, aggressively flushing. We spoke last week to Dyer Partnership, they're our engineer of record, about this. The engineer that we spoke to was actually on the project of the water plant, so he has familiarity with the distribution as well. And he concurred that by us pushing a large, increasing the pressures to push more water across, that we probably, and having low reservoirs, that we created the turbulence and the dirty water up in the avenues. As of the last couple of days, we've got the problem rectified. We've been monitoring Strawberry Reservoir all this week. We started draining it yesterday. So as we're pushing in new water, we're actually draining water off of it. The turbidity went down to 0 by midday today. And so right now we don't have any issues. But what we did learn is that during the drawdowns, we had the same dirty water. And so we were turning two pumps on at that time. So we learned a little bit over the last couple of weeks. We need to run longer. We need to not run as hard, right? We're just kind of get our pumps running and pushing water across. So I can't say this won't happen again because we do have old lines. And there may be situations like during drawdowns that we really need to push water. But I think we're more cognitive of how we're gonna move water through the avenues and kind of monitor that a little bit more. And so just wanted to give you a lot of update. I know we've had a lot of customer complaints, but those have decreased since last week. I think we had a couple over the weekend that were kind of residual complaints, but they've all been addressed. We've reached out to every customer. And yeah, that's kind of what the situation is. And if you guys have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer any of them as you have them.
So these old pipes that are affected, how many miles do we have of those?
Excuse me. Well, so in the master plan, I think there was identified, we had 5 miles at one point and we did 9th Street. So there's probably a little more than 4.5 miles still remaining. Also in the master plan, we have altitude valves. And I think the altitude valves in the future will help. In other words, as we push water out in the system, it'll keep pressures more regular instead of just pressuring up the system. And so those are two things that I'm looking at right now is for the future is basically creating zones so we don't have to push as much water through. And so we're aware of it. We know we have old lines. We need to get them replaced. We started that a couple of years ago with 9th Avenue, and we just need to continue. But until then, we need to be cognitive of how much water we're pushing through the avenues.
Madam Mayor, one last question. How old is the oldest fire hydrant? Do you know by any chance?
Fire hydrants are mains. Fire hydrants, there are some, they get rebuilt and they get refurbished, but the mains themselves, there's some that are over 80 years old. And they're old and small.
Any other questions from counselors? I want to say thank you so much to Public Works Department to try and rectify that and fix that and learn from, what happened, but also just thank
Sure.
you. You guys did a lot of hard work to get that.
Yeah, I want to
resolved.
pass it to the staff. I all between Dominic, Wes, and Jager at the plant, they've been communicating daily. It hasn't been ideal for them, but they have responded to every customer, and that will continue to do that. So
Thank you.
I just want to echo her thank you for you and your crews. We appreciate it.
Any other department director want to highlight a report that's in the packet? No. Moving on, reports of city officials, city managers report.
Madam Mayor and Council, I will also kind of echo some kudos to Public Works staff and to Cecily, who monitored the phones this weekend. If we were going to get complaints, we were going to pass it on to Greg, and he was going to divvy it out. But I'm really thankful for Public Works and the hard work that they did to flush those lines and just really, take those concerns seriously. So thank you so much for that. I also wanted to say kudos to the library and Director Megan. I was talking to a citizen this week, and this person lives in Lebanon, and they came over here to do something at the library, and they were really impressed with just the service that the library provides and the amount of engagement that the library has with the community. And so that was just really kind of a cool thing to hear. Also wanted to give some kudos to our city attorney, Larson. We've used him quite a bit this last 5 months or so, and I just wanted to say thank you for letting us lean on you and giving us some good, solid advice on a lot of different things. And then also kudos to the PD. This week is National Police Week, and it's National Police Week. We traditionally just remember those who have given their lives in the line of duty, but we also are just kind of reminded of just how dangerous the job is, and you never know what you're walking into. And I have a great staff, dispatch and officers and our community service officers. I'm just so incredibly thankful for them. I'm thankful for our leadership there that allows me to really do both jobs in this dual role right now. I've got great people at the PD and great people here, and I'm thankful for all of you. Wanted to give an update. The Nandina Street overlay project, obviously, as you know, that's been delayed due to the weather. That is going to be, the new dates for that are going to be May 20th and May 21st, weather permitting. So we just want to say we appreciate everyone's patience over there on Nandina Street as we work to improve the infrastructure over there. Another reminder, ballot drop-off locations. We have one here at City Hall and also one at the PD. So make sure that your ballots are submitted by the deadline to ensure your voice is heard. And then some upcoming dates to remember. We've got the Jim Beam Safety Fair on June 21st. That's going to be 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Just a fantastic, family-friendly environment that kind of brings together all of our safety, fire department, Sweet Home Sanitation. There's a bunch of people there, so it'll be a fun way to engage with all of those entities and businesses. We've got movies in the park this summer. That is going to kick off on June 13th. We're going to have another on July 18th, and the last one will be on August 15th. So gather your blankets and lawn chairs and head to the park to watch movies this summer. That should be fun. And then the last thing that I wanted to bring to council's attention is the mayor and I had the opportunity this last Friday to go to the state capitol to give testimony before the Ways and Means Committee regarding our capital fund project that we submitted. And the main one that we wanted to get funding for is we have these generators that we are getting by way of grant. And one of those generators we want connected up to the water treatment plant. That is one of our biggest things that we want to do because, as you all know, with the fire danger and Pacific Power potentially, shutting off power here and there throughout the summer, depending on conditions, also our weather events that we've been having, we need to be able to have the ability to have power out there so that we can continue to fill our reservoirs. So we gave it our best shot, and we're hopeful that that committee sees the value in Sweet Home and just the position that we're in. And so just wanted council to know we're fighting hard for Sweet Home, and we're doing our best. So that's what I have.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Jason, for all of your work. You work diligently for our community, and I just appreciate that. So moving on to the mayor's report. Since our last council meeting, we had an Arbor Day celebration at Sankey Park, and I just want to say thank you to Angela and all of her hard work for that event, and the Park and Tree Committee and all the work that they did as well. There was a good turnout there, and lots of children enjoying the activities that they had there, and people taking home plants to put in the ground. So that was great. Since our last council meeting, we also had 2 ribbon cuttings. One for Santiam Excursion Rail Bike Adventures. If you've not been on those yet, I would highly recommend reserving a time to go enjoy those. We were able to give it a try, and it was a lot of fun. The second ribbon cutting just happened last week at Lynn County RV Dump Station. It's a beautiful station, if you can say that about a dump station. It is 4 lanes. It's the only station around that people can also fill up with water, is what the man who installed the POS there, that it actually people can fill up on water. And yeah, I'm just grateful for Brian Carroll and Stacy Whalen and Travis Davis, who all worked to make this happen, but also County Commissioner Sherry Springer and Commissioner Tucker, Councilor Bronson and Councilor Hagee for all coming to the ribbon cutting. It was a beautiful day to do that, and grateful for the county for their investment into the community. Both of those things are great economic development opportunities for our community as people are coming in and they're spending extra time in our community. I think it's great for us to pay attention to that and be aware that that's good things happening. Another great event that's coming up this Saturday is the Sip and Stroll at the old mill site. I think that'll be a fun activity for everybody. And I just want to draw attention to the new art exhibit that was just hung up today. That's from Hawthorne Elementary School kids K through 6. So take a look at that, what our kids are doing at our schools. But I want to finish the mayor's report with just, again, thank you to Jason for his testimony at the Capitol and taking the time to do that and fight for our community. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, for the good of the order.
Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
I just want to say next Tuesday is the day to vote, so make sure you guys get your ballots in.
There's also a proposed meeting cancellation in July. Sometimes a council has chosen to cancel the second meeting in July so that council and staff could take a longer break between council meetings. So we need a consensus on that idea. If people are, amiable to that idea, go ahead. Councilor Hagee? Yes. Councilor Sanchez?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So there we go. July 22nd, that meeting will be canceled. Also, for the good of the order, is that the tow trucking thing? Is that something the staff looks into, or?
Yeah, I've had a conversation with him. The particular tow company that he's referring to, I'm not aware of any complaints that we have ever had with them. But it sounds like he reached out to the city council over in Lebanon, and I'm curious to see what Lebanon PD, if they were using them and if they had any issues or concerns. So I think I'll reach out to them and do a little research.
Yeah, it'd be helpful, especially if there's like a form they're supposed to be within 15 miles. I think that's something.
Yeah, that's our policy that can change, and ultimately it's up to my discretion whether or not a tow company is going to be on our rotation. Again, we haven't had any issues with them, but again, I think I'll call Lebanon and do a little research and see what I can figure out.
Cool. So great. Is there any other business for the good of the order?
Yeah, I like to bring up you took my thunder about the RV dump station. We are pretty lucky to have an amazing facility. I travel all over the country with my RV, and my wife's like, we're not dumping where we were, so we dumped in Sweet Home to support. And I was actually shocked how nice of a facility that is. So it's big, lots of turnaround space. And we're pretty lucky to have great commissioners that would help us out on that. So that's all I got.
Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes.
So I also want to reiterate the 20th is the final day to turn in your ballots. We only have 9,500 voters that have returned their ballots in the entire county of Lynn. That's less than 10%. And so we have a police levy, a library levy, a charter change, school board candidates, a lot of different things that are important to the community. So I really hope that people turn out and vote. Secondly, and lastly, I talked to you, Chief, about Long Street, but I just am awfully scared about the volume of traffic and the speed of traffic between 23rd, wrapping up past Mountain View towards Hawthorne. I really hope that we can maybe take eyes and put them there next.
Any other counselors? Items for the good of the order? Hearing none, I will end this meeting at 7:21.
Nothing.